What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Philly Sports from the Mighty Kingdom. And sorry for the lighting, a little dark. It's a little late at night, but I just wanted to make this this vid, in reaction, I guess you could say to the NBA draft that just occurred. The Sixers had the 10th overall pick, and there was a lot of excitement that they would be able to draft. Local kid, played his college ball at Villanova, of course, Machado Bridges. They did. He was sitting there at 10. They drafted him at 10. There's a lot of excitement for that, obviously. And I don't know how he's, honestly, who knows? I mean, you never know how a player's going to, turn out as an NBA pro from being a collegiate pro. The one thing that, though, we know about Machado Bridges is he's a heck of a player. He was a leader on a team that won 2 national championships while he was there. Big part of that team. Local kid out of Great Valley. Obviously, his mother works for the Sixers in the HR department. So many connections there that made sense for him to be drafted by the Sixers. And the fact that he fits this team perfectly. The perfect fit for what they needed. And they draft him, and then they trade him, about 20 minutes later to the Phoenix Suns for Zaire Smith. I don't know anything about Zaire Smith, but what I've heard about Zaire Smith is he's another one of these project guys. He has to develop his shot. I hear he's a good defensive player. He's a 6'4" guard. He played power forward at one point. You hear these things. He has a lot of athleticism. I'm glad he has a lot of athleticism. We seem to have a lot of guys on this team that have a lot of athleticism, but they can't shoot. We seem to have a lot of that on this team. I'm trying to put the spin on this from some other things that I heard, obviously, on Sports Talk Radio tonight. One of the spins, obviously, look, they got Zaire Smith, and they got the 2021 unprotected first-round pick from the Miami Heat. And by 2021, that could be a top 3 pick for all we know. That could be a top 2 pick. That could be the top pick in the draft for all we know. The Heat are probably not going to be in great shakes, in a few years. They have some bad contracts. I know they made the playoffs last year, but going forward, in a few years from now, they might be a really bad team for all we know. So that could be a really good pick, as it turns out. But who knows? You never know. You're taking a chance. So the spin on this and the talk on this is that the Sixers are really going to be aggressive, which I hope they are. I want them to be this offseason, like I said in the last video, is the most important offseason for this franchise in a long time. And so far this offseason has been nothing but a train wreck. When you talk about the Colangelo situation, with Twittergate and all that, and now the fact that they get the guy that most Sixer fans wanted them to get at number 10, and they trade him 20 minutes later to the Suns for a guy that none of us ever heard of, or most of us never heard of, another project guy, and a future 2021 first-round unprotected pick of the Miami Heat. It's just one of these, like, oh, not again. Stop me if you've heard this one before. But, of course, all the spin on it now is that the hope is that the Sixers can put together a good package to ship to the San Antonio Spurs for Kawhi Leonard. And I've said this for a while, and I'm still a big component on trying to get LeBron, although by the day that seems to be less and less of a reality. But I do believe Kawhi Leonard is a perfect fit on this team. I really do. Obviously, there's a connection with Brett Brown from when he was with the Spurs. They know one another, there's that connection there. I think that this team, the way they play, the way they want to play, fits Kawhi Leonard really well, or he fits them really well. And I felt, obviously, Machado Bridges, his game fits this team really well too. But in Kawhi, the pro Kawhi versus LeBron, you're getting a younger player. You're getting a really good player. Obviously, has won, in the past, titles and with the Spurs. And, can be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the next how many years. Really good player. Now, there's a huge risk, though, to get him. Because if you get him, you're getting him for 1 year. And there's no guarantee that you can keep him. I mean, he said pretty much publicly that he wants to play for the Lakers. He wants to go to L.A., basically, Lakers or Clippers. And there is a real, the reality is after this season, after this coming season, he's a free agent. And he could end up going to L.A., to the Lakers, more than likely. Now, the Sixers could offer him a max deal, and they can throw a blank check in front of him and say, here, sign. Maybe he comes here, he sees the team on the rise. Maybe they go to the Eastern Finals. Maybe they even go to the Finals, and do battle with the Warriors, more than likely. Even if LeBron and Paul George go to the Lakers, it's probably still going to be the Warriors coming out of the West. But, who knows? His mind could be changed. I mean, obviously, there's a connection there with Brett Brown. There is a history there. So maybe the Sixers are able to retain him. It's a huge gamble. It's a huge risk. Would I do it? Yes, I would. Because I still feel the way this team is now, that there's still another piece away, another big piece away. And Kawhi Leonard could be that big piece. LeBron James can certainly be that big piece. Paul George with LeBron James could certainly be that big piece. Kawhi Leonard with LeBron James could certainly be that big piece. Camera keeps sliding down, sorry. I don't know. My ultimate goal and my ultimate hope for this offseason, though, is that the Sixers are able to land at least one of the big three, and that they all don't go to the Lakers. Because that on top of what they did tonight in the draft, the disappointment of having the guy that we wanted and then trading him away 20 minutes later, I should say, it just would not be good. On top of everything else that's happened this offseason, with the uncertainty and all this, now they need a new GM and, all that goodwill that they had, with what they did this past season. And, well, you know what? This keeps sliding. I don't know. Sometimes you think you have it set up just right, and I should have had my tripod with it. But anyhow, it's not even a slippery surface. I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, you basically take away all that goodwill in one off season, and it vaporizes because of everything that's happened. It's been kind of the perfect storm, if you will, of events that's taken over. And it's like only the Sixers, This could only happen with this franchise. I still am holding out hope. I'm still keeping my fingers and toes crossed that they can land one or two of these the big guys that are out there to try to get. But the old saying is trust the process, and we've been trying, but it's just, you see some of the things that's happened in the draft in recent years. Now, look, they seem to have hit on Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and that's fine. I mean, the jury's still out on Markelle Fultz, if he's even here, unless he gets traded. I mean, some people are thinking that maybe they drafted who they traded for who they did, because he can play the Markelle Fultz role. He's basically another Markelle Fultz. So if you trade Markelle Fultz, well, you already have his backup there, So we'll see. I don't know. I have not watched any Texas Tech games. I can't say I know anything about this kid. He's 19 years old. Needs to develop a shot, which... it's just the Sixers' way. They seem to draft guys that need to develop their shot every year. And even the guy that we thought had a shot, well, he lost it. He needs to refine it again. It's just I'm trying. And, what I usually try to do is let things play out. It's like I always say this, and I say this about picks in the NFL too. It's like you can't really tell until you see the players play in the league and what they're going to do. And I always give a player like a year or two just to see exactly what they got. Because some players it takes a couple years. And some players it takes the right system and finally putting them in a system that fits them, like a Brandon Graham. All those years before, what Brandon, in the Jim Schwartz system is really thriving the last few years. But before that, he was lost. And it looked like at one point, it even looked like he was going to be a bust. But in the right system, and he found himself in the NFL, and he's made a nice little career for himself now. He's been an integral part of this defense. I hope they retain him. I hope they extend his contract. He made one of the all-time biggest plays that any Eagles ever going to make, with that strip sack of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. But it took him a while, and it took the right system for him to get it as an NFL, defensive player. So some players it takes a little longer, and some players the light bulb goes off right away. I do believe system and scheme plays a big role in it. I think that certain teams have to fit that player's skill set. So a lot goes into it. Coaching, a lot goes into it. Tonight they had one of those timelines on NFL Network, and they were, it was the 91 Falcons. And a lot of people forget that Brett Favre was drafted by the Falcons, and he didn't hardly see the field. And that following offseason he goes to the Packers, and he goes to a team that had a great coaching staff around that can get the most out of his ability, and of course the rest is history. He wins a Super Bowl and becomes a Hall of Fame quarterback there. Sometimes you do need the right system, you need the right coaches, you need the right players. It all goes hand in hand. So I never try to look at a rookie, at a draft pick, and say this guy's going to be a bust or this guy's going to be great without actually seeing what he's going to do with the team. And the jury's still out on Markelle Fultz too. Now he has to find his jump shot again, and hopefully this offseason he's able to. And unless he's traded in a Kawhi Leonard deal, he's still going to be here. And whether we're criticizing, whether they should have taken Tatum or Fultz. Well, maybe this season we see the best out of, he finds himself, we get the best out of him. And, he starts his NBA career. So I'm willing to give him a shot. But I am disappointed. I am disappointed that they drafted Bridges and that they just, 20 minutes later, he's on the Suns. Because I thought that would have been a great story for him. Of course, playing his collegiate ball just up the street from me in Villanova and the 2 national championships and all the great moments, was able to see that team do. And now he goes to the, to Phoenix. He was drafted here, could have had him. I felt he fit this team perfectly. And they move him. And if that gets us Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi comes here and has a great season with the team, and the team has a lot of success, and they're able to retain him past this season, okay. I'm not gonna sit here and say that was a horrible move. That they made. If making this move leads to getting Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard does for the Sixers what he's helped the Spurs to do and win titles. You can't bash the move, But if not, if they never get Kawhi and Lord LeBron or any of these guys, and they made a move for another project guy when they had the right fit for this team, theoretically, who they drafted at 10 and Mikal Bridges, what the hell were you doing? To throw that away for a chance to get Kawhi Leonard. To trade. Because we get the 2021 unprotected first-round pick by the Heat, and that's going to be what puts us over the top to land Kawhi Leonard. And maybe it is for all I know. Maybe it is. You know, and as a Sixers fan, I want what's best for this team. I want to win. And I understand it's very difficult to do that because the Warriors are on a whole nother level than anyone else. And obviously, if they create another super team with the Lakers, well, you might as well not even have an Eastern Conference at that point. You might as well just throw everyone and just make it one big league. And oh yeah, we have that team in Boston we still got to deal with. So if you strike out this offseason and you come into, the play next season with basically what you had this season, yes, another year into the system, another year older, wiser maybe. Maybe Markelle Fultz is a better player. We see why he was the number 1 overall pick last season. Who knows? But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, well, you still got that team in Boston. And I don't want to be, I said this before, I don't want to be the Toronto Raptors. Okay? I don't want to be the Toronto Raptors. I don't want to be a team that just, goes to the playoffs year after year and maybe wins a round, maybe even gets to an Eastern Conference Finals but can't get over the hump year after year after year. And I don't want that. That's used to be a thing, you would call NBA purgatory. And that was a team that was just good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to go to the finals, not good enough to win it, to compete for a championship. And obviously when you go, to an Eastern Conference Finals, unless you make some big move, you're not even going to have a top pick in the draft. You're stuck. You have a good team with good assets and good players, but you're not good enough to take that next step. And you can't get players more, not to say that every player in the NFL and the NBA draft is going to be a, great player with a top 3 or 5 pick. There's been plenty of players that you can get even in the second round that pan out and help teams win titles. Okay? But the odds are less that you're going to get one of those really good players if you just, if you make it to the second round every year or make it to the Eastern Finals here and there, and then you lose. And you just can't get past, whatever team that is. And now you're drafting in the high teens. So you're kind of stuck. Yeah, you still have a good team. You're going to compete to make the playoffs every year, but what's that do? Are they hanging banners in the Air Canada Center because they make the playoffs every year? Is that what they want to do? Are they going to hang a banner now because they were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Finals, Eastern Conference this year? No. It's the ultimate goal. It's to get past that. It's to get to going to the finals, and to get having a chance to win it. And this team hasn't won since 1983, and I was too young for that. So I want to experience this team having success. And not just success meaning making the playoffs every year and winning a round. Or maybe some years going to the Eastern Finals. Because the Eastern Conference as a whole just isn't, isn't as good as the West. So obviously there's not as much competition. So it's basically the Sixers, the Celtics. Maybe you throw the Pacers in there. Maybe you throw, I don't know if LeBron somehow stays on Cleveland. Obviously you got Cleveland still. But it's, yeah. Okay. So we're good enough to win a round or two every year in the playoffs. Oh. Like I said, I don't want to be the Toronto Raptors. I don't want that. I want to be better. And I want this team I want this organization to make the moves that you got to make to win. If the NBA is set up where you have to have these multiple superstars on your team to win, then I want that. And I know that we're looking good, with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Because potentially they could be two of the faces of the league in the next, how many years down the road. So they have something there. The cupboard isn't bare. But you need another established star on this team. And if you don't get that this offseason, okay, so maybe all things considered, LeBron goes to the somewhere in the Western Conference. Rockets, Lakers, take your pick. Okay, so the Cavs are done. So you're still going to have the Raptors. You're still going to have the Pacers. You're still going to have the Wizards. You're going to have the Celtics, obviously, and the Sixers. Okay, so you're going to have those teams, and maybe there's another surprise team here and there. There always is. But basically what the Sixers have is a team that, as currently constructed, and all things considered that the players continue to go on those, that JoJo and Ben Simmons keeps going up and not down, and we see something out of Markelle Fultz this year, okay, other than him spinning around, okay, all things considered with that, so the Sixers might be good enough to go to the Eastern Finals, but now you got to go up against Boston again. All right, we already saw what happened against Boston, and I'm not going to say just because of what happened this past playoffs that that's just going to happen all the time, because it doesn't always work that way. But we saw this team against an injured Celtics team who didn't have Kyrie, who didn't have Hayward. Even Jaylen Brown was out for the first game of the series, and we still lost in 5. And they had some boneheaded mistakes at the end of some of those games that could have been wins. They literally threw one of those games away, literally, on inbound plays that didn't work. Okay? So we saw what happened against Boston already. And they're getting Kyrie and Hayward back, and Tatum another year in the league, and some of their other players another year in the league. Okay? So we have to go up against that. And the way this team is currently constructed, oh yeah, they can bring in a few free agents here and there. Okay? But what I'm talking about is for this team to compete with Boston, you got to get Kawhi Leonard. You got to get LeBron. You got to get one of those players. And if you don't, and anything's possible, but if you don't, we're going to be screwed. Because, okay, maybe we play them in the Eastern Finals this year. But I can't tell you today that I'm feeling overly confident based off what I saw last season. Not just in the playoffs, but in the regular season too. I think they beat the Celtics one time, in Boston, and that was, after Kyrie had already gone down, I believe, if I remember correct. And they beat him one time in the playoffs. They beat him twice last year. I can't feel overly confident if this team doesn't add another superstar that we're going to go up and, oh yeah, we're just going to take care of Boston. I can't say that. I want this team to be better than good. Okay, we got a taste of it last year. That's what it was. It was great to have that, 50-plus win season, go to the playoffs for the first time since 2012, win a round against Miami, and then you go up against Boston, and you get pantsed, basically, in that series. You get pantsed. And I know that this team still has steps to take, and the players, the real good players on this team have to get mature. They have to get better. They have to learn from the mistakes that were made. But you got to go out, and the way the NBA is now, you got to have the superstar talent. You have to have that. Multiple. If you want a chance to compete against whoever comes out of the West, more than likely the Warriors. And even then, it's still a high mountain to climb, because the Warriors, that is one team that is just playing on a just all-star video game level. Okay, the shots that they make, the things that they do, it's scary. It is. But you got to find a way. Got to find a way to make it happen this offseason. But the draft tonight, yeah, and it's not complete, because I still feel that, okay, if they make the move for Kawhi, okay, that kind of completes it. But, or if they don't, and then we have to see what Smith's got. But it was disappointing. Because I was excited when they got Bridges. I was excited. I just felt he was the right fit. He was the right player to get of who was available at that time. And it was awesome, because I've seen this kid play. I've watched him at Villanova. Saw him win championships, multiple titles with that team. And it's a shame. It really is. They had an opportunity to get and not saying that getting fan favorites is always going to work out, because it doesn't always work out. but get a local guy, a guy who we know can play at a high level because he's done it in the Final Four. He's done it in championship games. We know what he can do on the big stage. Okay, so why not have him? I guess their mindset is that we want to make this big trade to get Kawhi, or to lure LeBron here by getting Kawhi. And if that's what they do, I can't fault them. If by making this move helps them to do that, even if it's just trading for Kawhi, I can't fault them. I can't. But it's a shame. It's a shame in a way. So we'll see what Bridges does with the Suns, but so it is what it is. But yeah. But congratulations to Bridges. Top 10 pick. Well earned. Great years at Villanova. I know DiVincenzo went to the Bucks. And Brunson went to Dallas. So they represented well. Villanova certainly represented well in the draft. So it is a shame. I was literally excited when they drafted Bridges, but it is what it is. What can you do? But yeah. In the draft anymore, there's a lot of trades. It's like I don't even know at times why they even bother putting the hat on, because they have to. I know, because of the product placement. The New Era or whatever who makes those hats. But it's like, is he really going to be on this team, or is he going to get traded, minutes from now? Okay, well, let's see. Particularly for those top picks, the top 5 guys that go in, and then all of a sudden there's a trade. And there's been many of those over the years. So it is what it is. And I want to touch on the Phillies real quick. I really do. Listen, they have played pretty good of late. They've won some series here. They have a brutal stretch. I mean, this is really 3 at Washington, then they come home, 3 against the Yankees, and then 4 against Washington. So that's really going to test them. And I know that J.P. Crawford's out 4 to 6 weeks, and I know before I said about trading for Manny Machado, and if there's not a better time to do it than now, I don't know when, because they lose their it's weird with them because they still don't have really identified roles. You have guys playing all different positions, but you lose a guy who can play third base in J.P. Crawford. And I know Kingery, they've played him at time for time at third. He's not a third baseman. He's a second baseman. I know they got him playing shortstop here and there. They got him playing in the outfield here and there. They have him playing at third base here and there. I'm surprised they haven't had him as a catcher, at some point. But Machado, and I know he's playing shortstop with the O's, he's really a better third baseman. They lose J.P. Crawford through the All-Star break. And I know that, is it a real legitimate chance of them winning the division? With the Nationals, I would still probably say no, because I still think it's the Nationals division to lose, and I know the Braves are having a great season too. So I can't feel overly comfortable that they're going to compete for a division title. But they have a real good chance of the wild card. Even if they don't compete for a division title, they have a real good chance of making the playoffs this year. Okay? Manny Machado on this, I just think it puts them over the top, at least to get a wild card, if they can get Manny Machado. Okay? And I understand J.P. Crawford is not out for the whole year. He'll be back after the 4 to 6 week range. But he seems to be injury prone at this point. And I hate labeling players that, but it just seems that something happens to him. It was in the minor leagues too. So Manny Machado, you bring him here, you make him your third baseman. And I know Gabe Cavalier doesn't like these assigned roles, but you bring him here, he's your third baseman. And you go Kingery at short and Cesar at second. Now, if you move Cesar, which I don't think they're going to do, at least this season, maybe next offseason, but you play Kingery at second. When JP comes back, he plays short. You keep Machado at third, and now you're still looking good. Okay? Manny Machado is the perfect fit for this team. And I know that their bats have gotten a little more hot of late. I know Adubel has turned it, has come back around to where he was, about a month or whatever ago when he was on that long on-base streak. And Rhys Hoskins, since coming off the DL, has really hit the ball well. He's seen the ball well. He's had some big hits. And that's good. That's part of the reason why they've been winning these series of late. But, yeah, they still need some help offensively and defensively. And Manny brings both. He brings a bat and he brings a glove. And this team desperately needs a third baseman. Okay, and I know Franco, third base, but yeah, I would like to see them move him. I'd like to see them move Maikel Franco because he's never been a consistent hitter. I know that he plays decent third base defensively, but he just doesn't do enough offensively. He's way too inconsistent. He swings at horrible pitches, way outside the zone, and at bad moments to do it. And if you can package him maybe in a prospect or so to another team and maybe get some relief pitching that they desperately need, in that move, and then you move some prospects and what have you to get Manny Machado. I mean, those are two moves that they got to make because this bullpen is Sir Anthony Dominguez, he's solid, but outside of that, you got nothing. And if they put friggin' Morgan in another key situation, they got away with it yesterday. But he came in the other night in the game that they lost against the Cardinals, and he comes in there, and I'm like, oh no. I say, why are you bringing in Mr. Give Up a Run now? Why? It's a one-run. Why are you doing this? Gabe, why are you... Yep, here it comes. I don't understand why he's still on an MLB roster. I don't understand it. But they need bullpen help, and they need Manny Machado. They do. If they can take care of those needs, they'll be a playoff team this year. They will be a wild card team. I still can't say, and I know it's still in range, but I can't say with a great comfort that they'll win the division because look, the Nationals are really good, and they really helped themselves by getting who they get, Herrera from the Royals. I mean, they already had a good back end of that bullpen, and now they add him. I mean, that team that team's not going to go on long losing skids. They have really good starting pitching, and that back end of the bullpen is lights out. And they really helped themselves the last 2 years. They got former Philly, and we all remember him from the 2008 team, Mad Dog, Ryan Madson, the bridge to Lidge. He's doing it now in Washington. You got Doolittle is doing a really good job closing like he did years ago with the A's. And now you bring in Herrera, who can be a closer too, but he's that seventh inning guy, or even eighth if you want to flip-flop him and Madson. I mean, they really helped themselves out the last 2 years. Did it help them, win a championship or even get to a World Series? No, but they have a good shot. That's a good back end of that bullpen, and you see what teams are doing these days with that. So they certainly helped themselves out. That's a move the Phillies should have made, and shame on them for not doing it. I don't know. It's like they're really slow behind the wheel right now. It's like you see the problems with your bullpen. You had a guy who could have come in here and fixed a lot of needs if you would have just gotten Herrera instead of the Nationals, your division rival, going out and getting him. What are you doing? It's like there is such a thing as being overly aggressive. I get that. But what are you doing? Hello? Anyone home? Right? This is Biff used to say, hello, McFly, hello. I don't know. And I get there's this thing, a lot of teams like to wait till the trade deadline to do stuff, but no. What are you waiting for? Make the move. You have to give up on prospects. You give up on prospects. This team needs bullpen help, and you have Manny Machado sitting out there. Make it happen. Wait, you're just gonna let the Nationals go get him too? Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna let the Nationals get everybody instead of being a little proactive here? So anyhow, that's what I feel. I really want this team to get bullpen help, and I would love to see them get Manny Machado, particularly now with J.P. Crawford on the DL for 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, now's the time to do it. Don't wait till the trade deadline. Screw that. Heck, just make the move. And sometimes, it's just one of those situations where it looks like something's so easy that the fans, say, and we're not, anywhere connected to agents or, have anything to do with front office moves. But I put Machado on the Phillies and on the PS4 circuit. He's on there. I beat the Nationals. 9-6. So anyhow, put me in the front office. You don't want that. For all the talk I like to do here on YouTube, me being in the front office for a major league team, I don't think that would go too well. But anyhow, we can all play fantasy, sports on video games and on the, playing actual fantasy sports, right? If that's one thing, but actually trying to do it, yeah. So, but I want the experts in charge to get it right. That's for sure. And as a fan, I want to see this team in the playoffs this year. Okay, I want to have some fun in October, with baseball. It's been a little while, and I'm not saying, look, World Series and this and that, but damn it, make the playoffs. Give us something. Give us a little, excitement here. I know football season is just around the corner, and we're all, that what this town is for football, particularly after they won those rings. See those rings, by the way? Ooh, all those people that say you don't have rings. Yeah, all right. I'm getting one too. I'm going to get a ring. It's not the one they have. Okay, but it's a replica. I'm getting it for this finger. All right, so those fans that said, we have rings, you don't have a ring, I'm going to show them the ring. I'm going to show them right. I got a ring now, here it is. Read between the lines. Oh, those Dallas fans, you had your fun with us over the years, didn't you? Yeah, all right. I remembered all of it. Now we're coming for you. Because your rings are a little dusty, aren't they? Was there even internet around the last time they won? Anyhow, we're going to move on from that. That's more for the Season of the Fan series, okay? So I've almost gone 40 minutes, and it's real late. I still got to get up early tomorrow for work. So I'm going to sign off for now. I know everyone's like cheering, hey, he's finally stopping talking. But I had a lot to get off my chest, I guess. The Sixers again. I'm trying. I really I hope that what they did tonight leads to bigger and better things. I really do. Because I want this to work. Like I said, I don't want this to be a failure and for us to turn into the Toronto Raptors. What goes on there. Where you just make the playoffs every year and you don't really, you don't go to the finals. You just continually, you're on the hamster wheel. And I don't want that. I really don't. With all due respect to Drake and to the Jurassic Park and the fans there, and they're good fans there. They are. But I don't want that for the Sixers. I really don't. So if by making the move they did tonight, if that helps them to get Kawhi Leonard, awesome. And if they can keep him past this season, even better. If it helps them get Kawhi Leonard and LeBron, oh my goodness. Oh. Double awesome. But I am disappointed. Michael Bridges, like I said, we've seen him here. Local kid, did good at Villanova, helped the two titles. I mean, it's all been said. And for we had him, and now we don't. It's disappointing, but if that move parlays them to getting Kawhi, I can't fault it too much. I can't. Because you are getting a proven commodity at that point, NBA proven commodity, so you can't fault it too much, right? So, anyhow, I'm going to sign off, but thanks for giving me 41 minutes of your time in this vid, and Sixers making moves. We'll see if those moves lead to bigger moves this offseason, and of course for the Phillies, front office, get some relievers and get Manny Machado. Enough. Make it happen. And we're going to have the Fanatic come over there and shoot hot dogs at you. Anyhow, we're... Ooh. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.